Qualitative, qualitative, touch, taste, see.
Quantitative, quantitative, 1, 2, 3.
Qualitative, qualitative, listen, smell.
Quantitative, quantitative, measure well.
Qualitative means you use your sense, that's right. Like hearing, taste, touch, smell, and sight.
Quantitative means you use your tools, oh yes, to measure so you never have to guess.
Qualitative, quantitative, senses and tools. Qualitative, quantitative, observation rules. One more time. Qualitative, qualitative, touch, taste, see.
Quantitative, quantitative, 1, 2, 3.
Qualitative, qualitative, listen, smell.
Quantitative, quantitative, measure well.
Qualitative means you use your sense, that's right. Like hearing, taste, touch, smell, and sight.
Quantitative means you use your tools, oh yes, to measure so you never have to guess.
Qualitative, quantitative, senses and tools. Qualitative, quantitative, observation rules.
The essence of single subject design is really using repeated measurement to understand an individual's normal variability so that we can use our understanding of that variability to determine what the effects of our treatment are. For me, one of the first steps in developing a treatment is understanding what an individual does. And so if I were doing a group treatment study, I would not necessarily be able to understand or see exactly what was happening with each individual patient so that I could make modifications to my treatment and understand all the details of what's happening in terms of the effects of my treatment. So that's one reason. So for me, it's a natural first step in the progression of developing a treatment. Also, with the disorders that we deal with, it's very hard to get the number of participants that we would need for the gold standard randomized controlled trial, so that using single subject designs works around the possible limiting factor of having enough subjects in a particular area of study. My mentor was Dr. Cynthia Thompson, who was trained by Leah McReynolds from the University of Kansas, which is where a lot of single subject design in our field originated. And so I think really I was fortunate to be a little bit on the cutting edge of this being implemented in our science back in the late 70s, early 80s. And we saw, I think, a nice revolution in terms of, attention to these type of designs, giving credit to the type of data that could be obtained from these designs, and a flourishing of these designs really through the 80s into the 90s into the 2000s. But I think I've talked with other single subject investigators, and now we're seeing maybe a little bit of a lapse of attention and a lack of training again in our young folks, that maybe people assume that people understand the foundation, but they really don't, and more problems are, I think, occurring with the science. I think we need to reestablish the foundations in our young scientists, and this project, I think, will be a big plus toward moving us in that direction.